Hey guys, Grenadier Gamer here, back in Enlisted, and today we're taking a look at the new large D-Day Reinforcements Received format event. So, like the other large events, it is the same exact style, earning 25,000 battle score or experience, whatever you want to call it, in 2 days. There are going to be 15 stages, and there are 13 prizes, so you can, as per usual, skip 2 stages without missing out on any of the rewards. For every stage completed, we're also getting our additional finished task rewards, so you can get some silver or some orders, nothing too major. But without further ado, the first task reward will be a skin for the Churchill Mark 7. It's called Ambush with Camo Nets, and I've actually already unlocked that one. Because this event started on June 4th to commemorate D-Day, so let's go have a look at that. So, as you can see, it is nothing too special. Nothing too special, it just has some additional camo nets and a lighter olive drab paint job to it. But nonetheless, it's a nice little skin to add to make that immersion when you're playing as those Commonwealth forces just a little bit more fun. Then the next reward is unlocked at Task 3. We're going to get a Kretz P13 at BR2 for America. An amazing little rifle that was given to us, I think, 3 or 4 battle passes ago. It's a 5-round semi-automatic rifle for BR2. So it does bolt action rifle amounts of damage, while also being semi-automatic. And the trade-off is it only has 5 rounds like a bolt-action rifle, but these little guys are amazing, and I use them all the time. I think right now I have them on my APC. So yeah, 23.3 average damage at 10 meters. That is bolt-action rifle levels of hit power. And then we have semi-automatic fire and 5 rounds. So these little guys put in some serious work. Then we go to Task 5 for our next reward. We are getting the Sd.Kfz 221 with the Schwer Panzerbüchse 41. So what that is it's the little armored car for Germany, the 221 and 222 chassis. And this specific vehicle is mounted with a 28mm squeeze bore heavy anti-tank rifle. So what a squeeze bore cannon does in layman's terms is essentially the round is 28 millimeters, and the beginning of the cannon chamber is also 28 millimeters. And as the round is fired, the end of the muzzle it shrinks down to 20 millimeters. So as the round is fired, it is squeezed through a smaller and smaller opening through the barrel, which elongates the round and helps with penetration and velocity. So very exposed. This is probably only going to have a 2-man crew, kind of like the Flak Panzer I that we got as an event vehicle. It's going to be very easy for the Allies to sneak up on it and just take out your crew by shooting down into the top. So this is going to be for those highly skilled tankers that are always relocating and moving around. But it should have good penetration, I would assume, against other BR1 armor. Probably going to be struggling in an anti-infantry role, because I don't believe it has a coaxial machine gun. I've heard a lot of people say that this should get its own separate slot, or maybe add it to the Rider squad instead of tankers level 1. I'm not quite sure. People were also complaining about the armor. 221 has about 5 to 14 millimeters of armor, depending on where you're looking at. So yes, the armor is terrible. If anything looking at you like an HMG or an AT rifle, you're probably going to die. But this thing relies on speed, maneuverability, and relocation. So as long as you're hidden and you relocate after you take shots, it should offer some interesting gameplay. Also, as a consolation, if we look at the Daimler Mark II is also rocking some pretty thin armor, so 14 millimeters at the front of the hull and only 16 in the turret. So it's not any less armored than what the Allies are already playing around with. And then the A-13 Mark II cruiser is also not that heavily armored. Sure, in the hull we have 30 millimeters in some places, but you've still got some 14mm weak spots that are quite well scattered around the tank, so shouldn't be too bad. Then moving on to task 7, we get our next reward, which is the MKB-42 Mauser variant, which is basically a BR-4 German assault rifle. So there was also another event that gave these out to us, so if you completed that event, you should already have some somewhere. But yes, so we're looking at a 20-round magazine, 11.5 damage at 10 meters, and 720 rounds per minute rate of fire. It has semi-auto and fully automatic fire, as well as a bayonet. So it's down-tiered from, say, the STG because it has 10 less rounds in the mag, but it has a significant increase in damage, as well as that bayonet and an increased rate of fire. So a good little BR-4 assault rifle for the Axis. Then the final task reward at task number 13, we're going to get the M6A2E1 heavy tank at BR-5 for America. So I've heard a lot of people saying that this is based on the Pershing family or the Super Pershing or whatever, and that is not the case. So anyone who has played World of Tanks will be somewhat familiar with this vehicle. So it's based on the T1E1 heavy tank, which was an American prototype, which later developed into the M6 heavy tank. So the chassis is the T1 heavy / M6 heavy tank chassis with added on armor. So those added on sheets of armor is what gives it that Super Pershing-like front section. However, it is not related to the Super Pershing at all. And then the turret that is stuck on top is an experimental turret design that was intended for the T-29 tank. And then the 105mm T5E1 cannon, I believe, was set to be used on the T-29, the T-32, and the famous T-28/T-95, whatever you want to call it, super heavy tank or tank destroyer. But this, in World of Tanks, it's known as the Mutant 6 because it's based on the M6, and then it has the very thick turret armor with the 105 cannon. So this is going to be BR-5. I'm assuming this will be able to deal with German heavy armor pretty easily, since that 105 will offer better penetration than the Super Pershing 90mm or whatever you're using at BR-5 for the Americans. So, looks pretty awesome. I think this is going to be a fun event. I can't wait to unlock both of these vehicles. I'm really curious to see how the 221 is going to perform at BR-1 with such a small caliber weapon. I mean, I guess the Panzer II also has a 20mm, and the T-60 has a 20mm, so we'll see how the squeeze bore performs. Unfortunately, I think you're probably going to have to snipe the crew out with the 28mm, because I don't think post-penetration is going to be very effective. But nonetheless, looking forward to collecting it and having such a cool little vehicle in my arsenal. So, that's it for today, guys. Stay sharp out there, and I'll see you on the battlefield.